My name is Bruce, and tonight we're doing the evening show of Tablebreakers, episode 62. We're going to talk about dragons, most specifically, probably the bad ones. To this direction, you're going to see my buddy Garrett. Then next to him is Connell, the cigar DM. Below me is our friend Kai, Saint Rant, Shadow and Sun. Next to him, and in the far right corner is Jade. How is everybody tonight?
Awesome.
All right.
Before we begin, can I turn our attention to something that might be really fucking cool?
Pamela Anderson is kind of old, though.
Well, this is a book that is for a campaign world that's over 20 years old, in print. Their first product was called The Wizard's Amulet, and then they put out the Sword of Freya. It was in Necromancer Games. Then Necromancer Games went through a bunch of stuff, and they were purchased by Frog God Games. One of the men took a job as a judge over in Clark County, Nevada, so he couldn't do the job anymore. He's like, I'm going to be too busy. So Clark sold it off to Bill, and the product received is called Gods of the Empires.
Ooh.
This has 1/4 of the gods listed in Fraud God Games products. Oh, my bad. Only 40 gods in one place. So
It's not much elbow room.
not really. I want to flop cameras here. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? Yep. All right. Looks like they have the gods of Thor, which Bacchus, Dionysus, Balon, the Traveler, Freya, Mithras, Mitra, Mir, Tyr. We got some other deities listed in here. Hel, the dead god, Pan, Vanuatu, and they have Orcus in the back.
Hey, can't go wrong with Orcus.
Not really. Solanus is the god of the sea, or god of the sky, my bad. Streamy, Telephus. Oh, Telephus is a nasty one. That's a good druid deity. This is a pretty high quality book.
So my question is, how much is it going to, for me and Shadow, how much is it going to come wreck our life on coming to Saturday?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We will see, because I don't know. I don't know how it's going to wreck you guys. So, anyway, I just want to show that off real quick because it just hit my mailbox yesterday. Kickstarter's over. Yay! Garrett.
Yes.
Our main topic. Dragons.
Yes, dragons. Yeah, there's been some other folks who have, kind of dug deep into it, but no one's really done like a deep dive into dragons. Dragons, how are they used? Are they the good guys? Are they the bad guys? Are they just the guys? Are they protagonists? How is the concept of dragons used in your game? So I'm actually going to start with Connell. How do you use dragons in your game? What types of dragons and what kind of roles do they fill?
I use the 5e dragons because as of right now, that's what I'm running. 5e dragons are a little bit different than the dragons that we've had in the past. They're a little bit more meaner, I would say. They have abilities, legendary actions that allow me to do actions on your turn. You finish your turn, I get to bar fire at you. That has I have to roll 1d4 to see when I can do it again. They're a little bit more thicker HP points and AC, which I don't have a problem with it. The old picture from that handbook where you see those guys grouped around the little black dragons, like, hey, look what we did.
That's a little green dragon.
The little green dragon. That picture has always slightly bothered me.
Why?
I think dragons should be something to fear, not something like, hey guys, crack open a beer, we're gonna kill a dragon.
It looks like they caught it fishing.
You're right.
Now, mind you, I'll get to it.
So when I run my dragons, it depends on if they're in their lair. They have their own special abilities because dragon lairs have their own little tricks and things that can really screw with the party. And so I keep that in mind. If the dragon's out in the open, it's just, California during the 80s, just drive-bys with their breath weapon. And that's how I treat it. I treat the hordes respectfully. And if you kill a dragon outside of its horde, you don't get its loot. Sorry, that's just how the dragon crumbles. But I try to do it respectfully and make sure that at least all my players but one die. So they can go back in town and get more idiots to come fight the dragon. Jade has helped me with a couple different dragons over the years. The Amber Dragon wrecked a party. It was really fun. There's a dragon in 5e that has pure nightmare fuel, and it's a bad dragon. It's evil or misunderstood, depends on how you look at it. It is the what dragon is the Mind Flare dragon. It doesn't have the atypical breath weapon. It doesn't breathe fire, acid, electricity, anything like that. No, what it does, it shoots out spores. Now, Jade down here came up with a thought processing, which I like. I really do like. The Carney in me loves it. Is don't attack your PCs with this. No, that's too easy. Go to your next town over. Make an army of mind dread. Then attack the party.
So,
wait, did you just
that,
do the
salty cracker?
Okay.
Yeah, the Elder Brain Dragon or the Mind Flayer Dragon has a breath weapon, and this is a 5e dragon. It has a breath weapon of basically brain spores, meaning whatever fails their save gets turned into a mind flayer, an illithid.
So it's like a tadpole being inserted.
Saves.
Yes.
Yeah, as a breathable spore. So you see, the terrifying thing about this dragon is not its ability to fight a party of adventurers, because against a group of adventurers, they're probably going to wipe the floor with it eventually. Like the adventurers will eventually win if they're on even ground with that dragon. But the problem is that dragon should never, ever be on even ground with a party. It should always have an army of mind flayers around it. Why? Because that breath weapon, if you're running low on mind flayers, you know what you do as that dragon? You fly over a town and you just spread the spores. Oh, you want more illithids? Oh, well, let me go over to the next major populated city, metropolis that has like maybe 500,000 people in it. And I'm just gonna breath attack the city from above, all for an entire day, as many times as I can do it. Why? Because now I have an army of mind flayers to attack the party with. Why not? That is the true terrifying thing of that dragon.
Water deep will never be the same.
The entire world should never be the same. Why would it just wait
like
for
those
the
things?
adventuring party? Why don't they start out at first level and the entire planet's already mind flayers? there's no reason that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome.
If that's the game you want to run. But I mean, if you think about it, long before the players ever encounter such a dragon, it would have already done that. They'd literally be starting in the town where they're the last bastion of non-illithids. And
for a dragon to become a mind flayer or an elder brain dragon, it has to also fail those saves. It also has to have one of those tadpoles in it and fail those saves. Not an easy feat for a tadpole.
Yeah, it's they have legendary
that dragon.
They have legendary resistance to most things. So I just honestly for 5e, it's a really cool idea for a dragon. There's nothing wrong with the classic red through white, all the different evil dragons, but it's different, and I think that's how I run dragons. Does that answer your question there, Hoss?
That does answer my question. What about you, Jade? What dragons, what uses, etc.?
So, what kind of? I've got two answers. What kind of answer do you want? Are you looking for the classic D&D dragons, or are you looking for something that's an absolute ungodly, like god-slaying terror to behold?
Well, how do you use them in your world or in your game, and etc.?
So, if it's my homebrew world, my dragons are the primordial dragons. They are the primals, basically. They were created by the creator god, so they are pretty much demigods in status. It doesn't help that they killed their creator and took its power for their own, splitting it up amongst themselves. But they didn't stop there. They were greedy. They wanted the power of their siblings as well. They wanted to become the creator god themselves, or destroyer god in this instance. So you've got these dragons who are damn near immortal, almost unkillable, going around with power of, power, just true magic. They are why magic exists in my world. Without them, magic can't work, or at least without the power they hold, magic cannot work. So to fight one of these god slayers is, it's one of those things that you just go, that thing appeared on the field. I think I've got a 12 o'clock meeting, and it's 11:45. I got a 12 o'clock meeting on the other side of the planet right now. Most times people don't fight these things. They are city enders. They are continent destroyers. Like nations are, they just fall before these dragons. So most times these primordial dragons are my end of campaign. They are the big bad evil thing at the end of a campaign. And win or lose, the world will never be the same afterward. By that. Yeah, the other aspect of those dragons is you cannot permanently kill them. If you manage to, they're kind of like the Trask in that way. If you manage to kill them, but you don't find a way to contain their essence or their soul, they will self-resurrect eventually. So like I said, they're nigh unkillable. There is ways to do it, but most of that knowledge is lost. So for my campaigns, when I'm using one of these dragons, like I start it slow. They start getting signs of these dragons being active or present in the world around level 10-ish, if I'm running a D20 system. And then they start actually actively fighting the minions, directly fighting the minions of this being, this God Slayer, around level 20 something. They're not actually prepared to fight it until at least level 40 or 50, because at that point they might be able to take it down in about 20 rounds. And people are like, oh yeah, you just surround and stomp into the dirt. You've got more actions than it does. No, you don't, because the way this dragon works, it has basically a celerity factor to it. It has multiple turns in a round. So I mean, these things are the end all be all of beings. And they're rated as a CR 66, I think is the highest one, and our challenge rating of 66. Their breath weapons, depending on which one it is, I'm using the CR 66. The breath weapon does not just fire damage; it does asphyxiation damage. Like when it breathes into an area, it breathes clouds of embers and clouds of noxious fumes, and it suffocates its victims and burns them alive at the same time. These things do I think it's 30d10 damage on their breath weapon. That's just the fire damage, and then you've got so many rounds to get out of the affected area or you suffocate. So a lot of times when I, employ these dragons as a final encounter, these things open with a breath weapon attack. And then they let their minions swarm in, which are typically immune to the fire and noxious fumes. And then, now you're fighting the minions of these things while you can't breathe, while you're on fire. So it's quite literally berserker tactics with a lot of them. They open up and they are just relentless. I've nearly wiped out an entire party twice, the same party twice. They got smart and ran away both times.
I do have to say that I was in one of the campaigns that you ran one of these, 4 of them, if I'm remembering correctly.
I had 3 of them.
3 of them, and my solution to take down one was to fly in its mouth and shoot myself in the head, because I rose again like the Phoenix.
So your character, so in that game you were like level, I think 45, 50, and you
50.
had you had some kind of, you had equipment of the Phoenix, and that equipment allowed you to or when you died, you exploded in a conflagration of bone and fire, and it was divine fire, so it could actually do damage to them even though they were mostly immune to fire. So you flew into its mouth and exploded, and it was already low enough on health that you could actually take it out, but not by much. Like you barely made it on that one.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just one of my favorite memories. It's one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was a interesting tactic you used there.
Hey, see, Shadow. Sometimes characters do die. I killed myself, but I came back.
I got better.
Yeah, so my dragons, like I said, I don't typically use the D&D chromatic and metallic dragons, mostly because I'm not wholly impressed by them, and it might be the fact that I've not had anyone run a dragon encounter that was all that terrifying for me as a player. I've never been able to truly run those dragons as the terror that they should be, effectively as well, in specifically the 3.5 game engine. So I turned to the Iron Kingdom's dragons because, oh my god, they are so more terrifying, especially with the way they were originally written for 3.0, not 3.5.
All right.
What was the main? What you've GM'd both? What is the main difference between the two? Because some people here, like myself, you say Iron Kingdoms, and all I can think about is Steam Jacks and war games.
So, I don't run the straight dragon out of Iron Kingdoms, but the one that comes to mind mostly is the Ashennephos, or Ashennephos, is the name of the dragon, and that's, I think, the CR66 in the 3.0 book. They are stronger, they're smarter, and I'm looking at just stats wise. They're smarter, they're stronger, they're bigger. They have an aura of corruption that
for a while there, I thought
wherever
you were
they
saying,
go.
gosh darn it, people like me.
Wherever they go, they corrupt the entire area around them. People who are exposed to this corruption become dragon spawn. Dragon spawn is not a good thing. It's not like a dragon born. It is something horrific. It's actually an abomination from the corruption. They lose their minds. They lose their bodies.
A Fighty, are you talking about this Sapphire Dragon? This Sapphire right here? That WizKids pumped out, what, 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
All right. So, Shadow, what about you? How do you use your dragons?
Well, right off the bat, I'm sure you guys know I run pretty much old school games where the only good dragon is a dead dragon. And I tend to run dragons, more like Smog. I run very old school fantasy, almost fairy tale-esque sort of campaigns where, there's, maybe only one or two dragons in the entire story. I'd rather move on to things like demons and devils as the bigger bads. But I tend to get my inspiration for dragons from not just Smog, but the Earthsea trilogy had some very cool interactions of the main character and a dragon, or the way they were used in Elric, where a lot of the dragons have actually been subjugated by the elves and they ride them into combat as their war machines. I don't usually let them get to, Jade's Godzilla-esque sort of, stature and power levels. I use dragons a lot of times to be mind you, in games like AD&D or BECME, you're not going to be going up levels fast. You're not going to be getting powerful fast. And one way I help them out along the way is when they do find a really challenging dragon, when they're like, say, 9th or 10th level, that's when they're going to actually find some of the treasure that will lead them on into the next phase of their career, the like 10 to 15, or, if they play that long. Mind you, in the older games, players took years to get to 10th level, and the treasure, if, that's often when the paladin will find his holy sword because the dragon's been guarding it, or the wizard's going to find something like a staff of power, the more powerful magic items in those games. And, I used to say I ran high-level magic games, and I do for the games that I run, but in comparison to games that have come out since 2nd edition, a lot of times their magic levels are at starting higher than I normally allow. So for me, the only good dragon is a dead dragon. And the sooner the players take out that dragon, the sooner they can move on to, for me, the things that are more fun without, too long of a delay. But I think a good year is a good time to have had them play before they get to something like that. That way they can enjoy the lower levels, enjoy the 5 to 7 level, and then start getting into their title levels afterwards. The picture that you were talking about earlier, Connell, that dragon for that game, if the picture was painted for that game, that dragon, as little as it was, could probably have breathed enough fire to have killed them all, that whole party, if they all failed their saving throw on the first try. And if they didn't, it's going to do it again and again. That's the level and scope of that era's game mechanics. So, yeah, in 2nd edition, I made this sort of the same mistake, because in 1st edition, a dragon that size, when it breathed its full blast, would do 11 points of damage. That's it. Then you go into second edition, and that self-same dragon is going to be belching out like 40, 50 points of damage, which is a huge difference between 1st and 2nd. So I can see why, like, for example, Max loves that picture, because if you start in 2nd, and that's the case, that little baby dragon is no slouch. Now, mind you, in hand-to-hand combat, it wouldn't have been the same thing. It'd have been over in about two swings.
Okay. Hi.
Yes.
What about you? Tell us about your exploits with your dragons.
I'll be honest. If I run them how they're supposed to be run out of the book, they end up being just target practice. Just brutal, honestly. Because most of my players are like, why should I go into the lair? Because that's where death happens. We don't want to. You know, the whole idea of prepare the battlefield, figure out what you're going to do. And since my players understand the magic of flight arrows, prep, and where they figured out what the dragon's flight speed, what spells the dragons usually have, engagement ranges. So they'll begin the engagement so they'll wait for the dragons to go out and fly around and do the smog thing. You know, the breathe fire stupid thing, and I'm so scary. And then you realize the dragon can only breathe fire at 120 feet. Its flight speed is only this. If we open up our engagement range at 1,800 to 2,000 feet, using arrows, feats, and abilities, we can start peppering it with mass concentrated fire and bring it down, and it'll be charging us at its maximum flight speed of it will. We have about 10 rounds of mass engagement before the dragon can even counterattack us, and suddenly and other players are going, okay, how about we get other weapons, longer, siege weapons start coming into it, and suddenly going, the dragon's going to die before it begins to have even its chance to attack. That's for all of you fly-by napalm, lightning bolts from the sky, play some CCR in the background. Dragon, my dragon just eats everybody because he can fly and shoot laser bolts and every 1d4 rounds, and watching a party literally obliterate 2 adult dragons before the first dragon died at about 1,000 feet, and then the second dragon died just before it could land to start actually breathing fire and chewing on players. That's the point when I realized, okay, dragons are a joke. And started retiring them as actual dedicated villains and started playing them more along the lines of being like, the Silurian hypothesis idea of you're dealing with an ancient race of creatures that can live for thousands of years. Why aren't they, secretly in the background manipulating everything? You should never fight a dragon. That's why I don't care about the Godzillas. I don't care about the I'm a terror. So my dragons are more along the lines of, hate to say it, the World of Warcraft aspect dragons, the Legend of the Five Rings elemental dragons. I like Dunkelzahn, and I love Lothier from Shadowrun because they're running for president of the United States, or president of your local kingdom, or they're running entire economies, because they're bored. And we fight the dragon. You'll never reach it. You'll never see it. Why? Because they're ancient dragons. Well, we'll fight some young ones. No. So you go beat up a young dragon, and then Daddy shows up and goes, "Why'd you kill my kid?" Excuse me, I'm going to go kill you, then res my son. Now, come son, did you learn a lesson? I shouldn't pick on adventurers. No, wrong lesson. Your lesson. And then you hear the lesson as he walks off, and the party goes, "Did we just get bitch slapped by an ancient dragon because he came to the school board meeting?" Yes. And that's really what it comes to. Like I said, after a while, when you realize that unless you can somehow drag your party into close quarters combat, they're just going to murder everything. But then again, I think I've also trained my players to think in terms of opening engagement ranges at over the horizon. Starting the engagement at, rather than, well, congratulations, you're all starting at 2 map widths, and the dragon will be on you in 1.5 rounds. Congratulations, hope you can get in there. But that's also because gameplay and mentality is different from table to table, and mine just figured out that over the horizon fire is far better than stand there. And it goes, well, the dragon will just cast protection from normal if your party is engaging a adult or higher dragon. Everybody's got magical munitions. Do not ever think to yourself your party does not. Either you've handed them out or they're making it. And so therefore your protection versus normal missiles is a joke. Don't like, oh no, they got a +1 arrow, or the wizard goes, hey, look, I've enchanted temporarily all our shit. Start killing. Well, they got Wind Wall. Wind Wall does not move that fast as the dragon. So, oh, congratulations again. Magic bullshit penetrates that. It's like, well, I got spells. We outranged your spells, bitch. What do you got? So, really, honestly, my use of dragons is mostly just simply they're either primordial gods representing elements and aspects of the world and nature, or they're cannon fodder. And most of the time, they're cannon fodder.
Okay. Last but not least, Bruce.
Man, I'm kind of torn on this because, like, typical D&D, my experience with dragons is I bring out this miniature, and 10 minutes from now, after 2 rounds of combat, it goes back on the shelf because it's dead. It's fucking dead. But I wrote a book about 12 years ago called Shift Elijah's Story. One of the background antagonists is a dragon that's going up for president because fuck Shadowrun. Literally,
Okay.
fuck Shadowrun. Boring.
The best game you want to hate.
I just hate their system, and I hate picking up their book and like opening it up. And no matter what, whenever I seem to open it up, I always find the page that's like written to just piss me off, and guys like me off. Anyway, Medikey was the name of the dragon in that book, and in that book, she basically is rigging the election to slide her way because it's election weekend. And well, the first thing she does on Friday is she goes and sees a bunch of drunk college kids at South Carolina University, and she says, "You don't have to go get an abortion. What I want you to do, I want you to go get pregnant, but come to me when you want the baby out because I eat babies and you can help me." And I think having a dragon that does such an evil, visceral, ugly act of being right there waiting for preteen or post-teen single mom, stripper girl, ready with his open maw to go nom, 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 chew that little baby up in his giant mouth as soon as its umbilical cord gets cut. I think your dragons should do shit like that. I think your dragons, whenever they have to interact with the rest of you in the world that you create, I think the dragons give such a shit less about humans. It treats you like fleas. It really would. So make the dragon have a personality. Have it do things behind the scenes. Have it do things to where the players really hate having to live in the same world as that. Because that will cause their life to be miserable. I would love to see a campaign that actually treated dragons with respect. Because let's face it, very few of them did. I can't think of any from 2nd edition. I really can't think of any from 3rd.
I don't know. A Bastion of Souls with Charlon was, definitely to her favor. You're muted,
Yeah,
Mike.
I kind of got to disagree too, Bruce. I think something must have gone wrong in the game somewhere, somehow. Dragons should, when the players meet the dragon should already have all of its defensive spells up and ready on it, and the dragon should have as many freaking hit points and extra hit points as you can shove down its throat one way or another. Figure out a way to do so, and then go after one character at a time. Kill the cleric or kill the wizard first, and don't do anything but that. Once you have a full actual death, the party will panic and take it all. Make all the mistakes that they should make, because that's how dragons should fight. The dragon's not going to just randomly, go for a breath weapon. No, he's going to breathe just on the magic user or the cleric. He's just going to take like 500 points of damage. Poof, dead. Okay, now what do you guys do? Your cleric's gone.
We walk away slowly.
You try to teleport and find out that the dragon has used his 2 of the 3 wishes on his ring to make sure that people can't teleport out of his lair. And the other, wish it used from that wish ring, you leave one wish for the party so that they can understand what happened, then it, wishes, that it's immune to swords or some crap like that.
A dragon with the ring. A dragon with the ring of wishes. Whew.
Now, that's not the worst thing I've ever heard, but also the thing I like to state there is the party better be sufficiently geared enough to be able to fight a dragon who has wishes, because otherwise you're just being a prick for throwing an impossible encounter at the party. If the party is meant to defeat this thing, it better have the ability to be defeated, before you throw it in there.
Sure.
So,
but there's also that thing about where you warn the players, I wouldn't do this if I were you, and they do it anyways.
That one's just stupidity. But if they're supposed to actually fight it, and most of the time, you shouldn't have to It comes down to bad storytelling. If you're above board telling them, don't do this thing that I just put out there. Yeah, the world-ending dragon of the Horses of the North. Yeah, he's out there, and you're level 12. Maybe you shouldn't fight that. Maybe he shouldn't be so close that they could be fought. Or, logic is nice. You better hope for a story that the party will just run away, and most of the time they do, and occasionally stupid happens. But if the party is going in there going, yeah, we're going to go fight this, maybe they should actually be able to have a chance. But, plus any party who's stupid enough to go walk into the lair, well, congratulations, you're stupid. Then again, that's why, like I said, that's why I have players who look at the idea of a dragon in his mountain lair, and they just go pull out their copy of Dune and go, so what did the Baron Harkonnen do to destroy the Atreides hiding in the mountains? Oh yeah, destroy the mountain. And start bombarding the mountain and going, you know what? We won't get the loot, but we'll entomb the dragon in the mountain. It'll be worth it. And blast the layer shut, and then walk away, going, well, problem solved. And solving the problem. Artillery solves all problems. And it was like, well, it's not real artillery. Trust me, if players can figure out how to build a trebuchet and then watch a wizard put alchemical things in there, they'll make your 155 look pretty on par. It's like, yeah, start firing. But the dragon, I had to come out, and the party, that's what we were waiting for. And then suddenly the murder field begins. If your players are stupid, and honestly, let's be honest, most players are dumb as rocks and are never prepared. So yeah, murder them because players are dumb. But just pray you don't encounter smart players. That's really what it comes down to.
Excuse me, guys. I gotta take this.
Make sure to mute.
There it goes.
Thank you. Yeah, so I just I put up the stats, just some of the stats of the dragon that I was talking about. This is the CR66. Damage reduction 20 over a +3 weapon. Now again, this was written 3.0. Regeneration 20. This thing, it's got immunities, it's got spell resistance of 34. This thing is an absolute terror. Multi-attack, the whole snatch and swallow whole aspect. I mean, this thing is one of my favorite dragons to use as an end to a campaign, because either you survive it, well, some of you survive it, or and you've got stories to tell, or none of you survive it and we begin the next campaign in a ruined world.
Also, if you want a good dragon that actually is interesting and has some interesting mechanics, if you can still track it down, find the World of Warcraft monster manual. It includes several nefariously the infamous Nefarian and Onyxia. So if you want to actually have a dragon who's has an ability of literally corrupting your and the classes who are actually fighting it, so therefore, making all like Nefarian has the ability to literally just change change magic in its immediate area. So, and those are dragons that are on par with that thing, and I love it because that was because yes, it's D20, yes, it's World of Warcraft. Ignore the name. Look at the monster manual stats. They are actually interesting. And fighting him is hard. I've watched players go, this is brutal. And I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why it took 60 people to kill him. He'll murder people left and right. It's great. I suggest tracking down a copy of that book digitally or by eBay, because it's just a fun book. It's written for 3.5, but it's so well balanced that it actually holds up into Pathfinder 1, and it takes very little effort to convert that into Pathfinder 2 or into more modern editions, because it's just a very well written book. I'm sad that Sword and Sorcery Studios, which is just White Wolf with D20, with a D20 name on it, because that's literally who wrote the book, stop producing material for like this, because this is far better written than anything that WotC or Paizo actually put out themselves. It's just that good a book.
Shadow, you said you had something that you wanted to say?
Yeah, Jade, when you showed us that sheet there, was it the CR that's 66?
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain that to me? Just so, does that mean the characters are all about 66th level, or the party total?
Roughly. The party average level should be level 66 to take something like that on.
Okay, because that doesn't exist in a lot of the games that I play, but
Right.
the other stuff I can do the math for. Now, mind you, I do have players in a campaign, my evil campaign, they could tough that out. They've got multiple maxed out professions because they're immortal, and they've gone through 20 levels magic user, 20 levels fighter, stuff like that. But that was before even part of 2E, but mostly first edition and etc. I'm just trying to gauge, because if it's somewhat similar to what I've learned about Pathfinder over the last year, I'm just trying to kind of gauge, what that would mean. And on average, what would you say, hey, T-shirt, how many groups of players actually get to that kind of a level besides your own?
So besides my own, rarely any. And that's because either groups dissolve before then, or the game master is not, I'm not going to say not up to the task, but is not thinking of challenges beyond level 18. Because a lot of the content for epic levels, as it's called in 3.0, a lot of the content for epic levels is unbalanced and not in the party's favor in a lot of cases. There are some things that are just too powerful, but then there are things that should be level appropriate and end up getting just raffle stomped into the ground. Okay. Especially with any type of monster that you send solo, and that's the big issue is a lot of game masters at the higher levels of play want to use these really like colossal things as a solo monster against a party, and then they get infuriated when that monster gets stomped into the ground after just one round. Well, that's because you're not playing the action economy. Players, because you have 3, 4, up to 16 players around a table, means they have 16 individual turns of standard actions, bonus actions, or swift actions, whatever you might call them. So each one of them has those number of actions per round, and your solo monster only typically gets one action and maybe a swift action. So when you're playing the action economy game, you have to send a number of monsters equal to or double, triple, or even quintuple the amount of players there are to play the action economy game. And that being said, with the dragons, I have edited the dragons because D&D, Iron Kingdoms, 3.5, 3.0 era, they didn't have monsters that had multiple attacks, or I'm not necessarily multiple attacks, but multiple turns or actions in a turn. Yes, you could do the multi-attack. Yes, you could do a spell and a quicken spell, but none of them had this thing takes 3 turns broken up in initiative order. You take a turn at this initiative number, at this initiative number, and at this initiative number. It didn't have that, but I had edited my dragons because, let's be honest, the dragons should be truly it's in the name. At the time, when I was playing that game, it was in the name. So the dragons should be something to be absolutely terrified of. And the dragons that were in the monster manual for 3.5 were just kind of laughable. So I beefed them up. I added stuff to them, and some people got pissed because you're not playing by the rules. And you're right, I'm not playing by the rules. I'm the game master, and the dragons in here are a cakewalk. They're a joke. If you want a dragon encounter, I'll give you a dragon encounter. Or I'll come up with an unbeatable encounter that's actually still below your challenge rating. I gave Connell a group of umbral dragons. It was a mother dragon and her brood of 6 or 7 wormlings. And umbral dragons do negative energy damage with their breath weapon. They don't do fire. They don't do cold. They strike your soul directly with their breath weapon. So the nest was a din of negative energy. So the party goes in there. They're already starting to lose 1 to 2 hit points, maybe up to 6 per round that they're in there. Then they're hunting down these wormlings, and these wormlings are, popping up, breath weaponing them, attacking them with melee damage. And there's 6 or 7 of them, and there's only 4 party members. And then when finally the party has weeded out the weaklings of the brood, the mama dragon steps in with her last, 2 or 3 and wipes the party with a breath weapon because they've already been fighting for, 10 minutes against the wormlings. So, if you want to make dragon encounters truly terrifying, have multiple things going on all at once. The party has to be fighting a layer effect. They have to be fighting multiple enemies at a time on multiple fronts, and the dragon itself. That is how you make combat against a dragon absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, my players
in 3.5.
No, this is
in 3.5.
Pathfinder.
In 3.5.
Oh, well,
yeah. Well, Pathfinder 3.5, same thing.
Well, my players after that encounter, they bitched for half a second because there was a few of them that got killed. No, hands down, just outrightly got killed. And they're like, well, I wish we were better prepared for that. I'm like, sorry. The
challenge rating was 1 below theirs.
Right. Oh, yeah.
The challenge rating I gave you was actually 1 CR below what they should have been to be able to, take it on. So they were actually over leveled for it by 1 level.
Right. And once I pointed that out, it shut them up.
So that actually was going to lead into my next question there, Jade. And you kind of already done it. What do you do to modify the encounters with the dragons and make it more interesting? So yeah, you kind of already
me.
got that
Skip me.
done. Okay, Shadow. What do you do with the encounters with the dragons to make it more interesting, or fit more into the narrative you're trying to have in your game?
Well, it kind of depends on the campaign setting. I had one campaign where it was literally a dragon war where there were hundreds, if not thousands, of dragons that were you remember how the white dragons used to be? They were kind of big and dumb, and not so much spellcasters, and more about just big flying dinosaur type of things with breath weapons.
Not
I've
much
done that.
changed.
So you can go with numbers like Jay talked about. But I really prefer to use their spell books and their magic to really beef them up. Like I mentioned before, the dragon's going to have all of his protection spells on him the second you meet the dragon. That way it's got its best defense already ready. Then I will often tailor make the dragon's lair if they're foolish enough to fight the dragon in its lair. Then I will make that dragon's lair, a lot like the old video games where you got to jump here and jump there to do things to get the best advantage. Give them stuff to do besides just standing there in a circle waiting to absorb breath weapon damage or lightning bolt damage. Give them reasons to more or less split up the party, but they're in the same room. But you go over here, you go over there, and then the last thing is that treasure that the dragon has. Well, he's going to use it. My dragons actually have the ability to use the weapons. If there's a magic sword in there, he's going to be using it. Okay, he's still going to be casting spells, breathing fire, using his tail, using his wing buffets, and probably bringing down some stalagmites on your ass while you're in his lair. There may be traps. There may be other small monsters or minions, or maybe even a golem in there to help him out, or something to, more or less be its alarm clock or its watchdog, so that when it does sleep, it's not, taken unawares, even though it will never happen. You will never find a sleeping dragon. That's where a big part of AD&D went south when it came to dragons. The DMs were actually rolling to see if the dragon was asleep. I'm like, what? What is this nonsense? That dragon's not asleep. He smelled you coming a mile away. He's ready for you. You're coming into his lair. You better bring your A game and not wait for the first round of initiative to start casting your own defensive spells as well, which I absolutely hate. When a combat starts and everybody's, casting their defensive spells, well, you're all going to die in that round because you should have done that, moments ago. You come to a door, you cast your spells.
There's an argument to be made with that statement, but I'll leave it alone for right now.
I realized that in a lot of later games, these spells didn't last as long, but in the older games, a lot of the spells would last, an hour plus, and that's just a first, second, third level spell. So yeah, you back then you would be better off casting those defensive spells as soon as you get to the first big door. Especially if it's a double door. You come across a double door, you might as well go, here's where the big bad lives. Am I right?
I mean,
carry those giant flare where they're all big giant double doors, but for the most part, that's like kind of an unwritten thing. You come to double doors, there's a big monster in there. Just get ready. You might as well start doing your protection from fire or whatever kind of spells. Your bless, your sanctuary, whatever spells you have up your sleeve for defense. Get them going.
See, in the older editions that I'm used to, primarily the magenta box, you had 2 charts. Percentile chance that the dragon is asleep. and percentile chance of the dragon to pretend he is asleep. So you have options. Just the dice will tell the story. If you suck as a DM, just roll dice. It'll tell a story. But that was in the older days. They stopped doing that. Now everything gets like 5 paragraphs of flavor text, and Kai comes out and rants about how nobody understands how to write anymore because we have nothing but people with community college writing credits for English, and they're out there trying to do stuff and trying to make it Shakespeare, which I completely agree with Kai, and hand him beer or coffee.
Or both.
I don't think he would really like a coffee stout.
They're actually kind of tasty.
They're okay.
Yeah, that got him going. It's like, yeah, all right.
So Kai, what do you do to enhance or buff up an encounter, or to make it a little bit more interesting, or even to help it move your story along or whatnot?
I think I brushed over this a little bit ago, and that's to use them as intelligent villains. I mean, honestly, you're looking at playing. I mentioned the Cerulean. The idea that they are a precursor species to even the elves. So, I mean, you're looking at like 1,000 years for just a basic elder dragon, or longer, potentially longer. And why are no, I've definitely run mine more on the idea that there's something more than just a pile of stats. So, I mean, the idea it's the idea that you shouldn't. If the party finds out there's a dragon involved, it's not going to be a Smaug. It's not going to be a some rampaging scary guy who just shows up somewhere. You're going to see hints of it for levels and levels ahead of time. That the evil advisor who's been ruining the kingdom's probably a dragon. The head of the merchant guild is probably a dragon. How else has it been able to sit there for centuries untouched by successive governments and the falls of empires, and yet somehow navigates it all intact? There's a dragon involved, and you're best not to go meddle in their affairs, for you are small and lower level than them. And
you taste good with ketchup.
Right. Also, whatever plan that you've got, they've probably you're not to go use a different comedy video series. Is I can just see heroes running up there going, we're here to stop your nefarious plans, and the dragon's kind of going 33, and we're gonna saying some heroic phrase and having the dragon just at each sentence just kind of like list off a number, and it's like, what are you doing? Oh, no, I've heard this speech so many times, I keep track of how many cliches you say. And like, well, we're gonna fuck you 4. And get the idea that you're not the first, you won't be the last, and they're just comfortably watching you as you just do whatever you want, and you think about whatever it is, and then they walk off because you're not a threat. Why should they smash you? You're never going to be a threat. By the way, that's a plot hook to hopefully encourage the players to think outside the box, to become threats, rather than just simply go, I'm sorry, you decided to engage the CR-36 Super Dragon, who's currently wearing a nice business suit and drinking wine at the party. Yes, you know he's the dragon. He knows you know he's the dragon, but he's currently at a big soiree, and yeah, you could fight him right there and piss everybody off. But while he laughs at you, while he eats a crepe and kind of goes, "What are you gonna do about it, bitch?" Yeah, that's how I do it. Because I don't care about the roar. I'm a big scary monster. Fight. Ooh, fear me.
But
Fear my dragon fear. Fear my roar and special weapons. Fear my I have a magic ring on me and some potions and fear that no. He's plus he knows he's got a good he or she has probably got a good idea on where some ancient lost is like, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go fight him. The dragon goes, I will pay you to go away. What? Yeah, that comment. I will pay you to leave. Huh? You're all here for let's be honest. You're all a bunch of mercenaries. You have no real moral fiber and code, except for the paladin. I'll eat you first. So anyway, all but the paladin are going to leave if I give you a moderate to high magic item and some cash, right? The paladin, I will eat you. Don't worry, but everybody else can leave. And yeah, just simply buy off your party. Because I'll be honest, nine-tenths of all the players I've ever encountered, if you offer them even a modest amount of money, a bare fraction of what the dragon probably has in his hoard, and they'll be like, I can go buy myself a +4 set of armor with this amount of money. The dragon going, that's it? That's all you want? Well, yeah, it's a moderate improvement to one stat on your character sheet. Well, is that your highest ambition? Yeah, a +1 to your AC over your current armor and a +1 to hit over your current weapon. That is your highest ambition? Yeah. Please excuse me. Here, have some money and go away. You are not a threat. You're not ambitious. You're not interesting. Just go. You're lowering the property value by being in my presence. Go. And most players go, wow, that was he's pretty cool. Can we go work for that guy? He's got money. God, you're all mercenary scum who have no goals.
You gotta give the dragon, if the dragon becomes an employer, you gotta give the dragon like a Jewish accent, like a northeastern accent.
Oh no. I'm going to run him either full French or full German.
Yeah, German.
I'm just going to run him German and just be like, as West Coast Silicon Valley dork as possible.
So
Some soulless abomination who just looks down upon you as though you are the inferior creature that you really are. Because honestly, you're going to die in what? How old are you now? 30? You're a human. You're probably gonna die in 30 years if you're lucky. 40 if you make it. But you're an adventurer. You'll die in 5. So whatever was gonna die with you. So sure. I got nothing. I got nothing to lose because I will outlive you, your kids, your grandkids, and your great grandkids.
So you're going to have the dragon sound like this, and whenever he goes in his human form, he wears a funny little uniform. He walks around and he talks to people about various things and how to better their lives. And he's very intrusive on what they do with their private time and how they spend their money and their resources. The dragon knows more than you. I've studied financial theory for over 500 years. You have no idea what you're doing. Even the elves are fucking stupid.
Exactly. See, now you should want to actually kill this dragon because he's literally like, no, he's horrible. I want this guy gone. I want this guy gone. I want the time dragon gone. Why? Because he's literally the dragon of time. Can we kill a dragon who's of nature and because give them a reason to hate this thing beyond simply I want money. But let's be honest, most players don't think beyond their character sheet and a pile of stats. So honestly, if you shake an amulet of bonuses to saving throws, your players will bend over backwards and pretty much spread them to get fucked by the dragon anyway.
Well, I didn't know that.
Come on. I'm sure if I was running a campaign, and I offered you, a +4 item better than what you had currently, would you just probably take it? You probably would.
I would like to say
no. I'm pretty sure you would. Most players at the table, when they're looking at stats, will think stats first. I have
Shadow. You need to turn up your volume or get closer to it. I can barely hear you when you're trying to talk.
Seriously?
You weren't coming in all that strong.
I see.
I just wanted to ask Kai.
Yeah,
So they're basically David Ickean dragons, lizard people.
yes, they are definitely lizard people. I almost all of them have shape change as an ability. Why are they not like? Why are they just wandering around being like, I'm a big scary dragon from Tolkien? No, they almost all have
Well,
something.
a lot of people like that. So
I know some people like them, but like I said, after a while, big scary monster that gets murdered, unless you want to like drag down the next 4 sessions to be able to go, the dragon shows up with 45,000 wormlings in its as escorts, and as it darkens the sky with the arrival of the 8th Dragon Air Force with a 1,000 dragon raid, and that's the
Dragon
only
Force 1.
Was that
Dragon Force 1.
Oh, the dragon has the dragon's name is LeMay, and his entire goal is to burninate the countryside, all of it, the entirety of it, because that's what LeMay likes to do. Burn everyone back to the Stone Age, and don't worry, his 1,000 dragon raid of all of his spawn and children are sitting there to annihilate you, and this is the only way he can soak up your actions before he comes in there and does some murdering. I mean, I could run that. I mean, I too would like to run the the Royal Dragon Air Force destroying the countryside at night, and then fuck yeah, why not?
The Dragon Swarm will most definitely decimate all of your country's defenses. If you
I know.
don't give over all of your sovereignty to the Dragon Swarm, the
That's
Dragon
right.
Swarm will roll initiative.
And because honestly, at this point, dragons are more interesting when they're actually, when you look at the character sheet and go, the dragon has an intelligence of 20. Why is he just going, no, I'm going to go up there and punch it with my claws, and I'm going to eat it and smack it with my tail. I got me some wing slaps, and I can breathe fire every 6 to 24 seconds. Yeah, this is the hierarchy of things. I also have 12 spells that I can use. I have... Wait, I'm smarter than everybody. Why the fuck am I doing this? Because you're a dragon, rawr, monster, and you're like, I'm a dragon. I'm older than your empire. I remember when you guys stabbed a guy who wanted to become emperor, and then you built the empire anyway, and the empire fell while I was taking a nap. It's like, I'm still kind of confused why you guys converted to Christianity. Why the fuck? And now the whole place is on fire. You know what? I'm going back to bed. Fuck you people.
I want to tell you that by you living within this kingdom, you're actually leasing everything from me, because I rule everything from this coast to that coast, and that's just how it is. That's how it's always been. You were born into slavery. You don't realize it. You'll need to be signing some contracts. I will be sending lawyers out to you shortly, just to make sure you understand that even though you think it might be your cart, your horse, they all belong to me.
Exactly. And see, here's the best part. By making the dragon that fucking annoying, yeah, the party should be working to overthrow this fucker, and wearing his head as a hat at some point in the future. That's what I want.
Oh, we got somebody in our Saturday campaign that would wear that dragon head as a hat.
See, but the thing is that I don't want to make sure the dragon ultimate form is, when you finally take away all his allies, destroy all his forces and resources, he can resort back down to, oh wait, I forgot, I am still a dragon. Squishy, big squish / barky bark roar. But I mean, like I said, I either send 14,000 cobalt minions to go and dogpile the party to eat up action spells and other shit, or I find other ways of making the encounters more fun for a narrative. I'm choosing more fun for the narrative.
You just have to be careful because if there's any technological items, I have a specialized species of Jawas that will come and capture any technological pieces of your former leased property of mine.
That's right.
And we're doing. I'm only doing this because this is a week where the world leaders are together trying to.
I know.
Fuck us over even harder because the current plan to fuck us over isn't working. They're all in Davos. They got 5,000 schlups with guns trying to defend them, and you got like maybe 2 or 3 journalist groups that have already been arrested. Shit happens.
Those schlubs, Bruce, are actually pretty badass. I hate to say it, but those aren't just any run-of-the-mill rent-a-cops.
Swiss guards.
I would actually put our
No,
nation's
even better than
army
that.
pre-2016 against them. I'll even put the 2017-2018 army we have. 5,000 for them, 5,000 for us. I'm pretty certain ours will win. Yeah, they train
well,
in the
that's
cold more than
that,
we do.
you're, Bruce. That's probably who a good percentage of them are. Hate to break it, but yeah, they're.
I'd be
whoever-
surprised if that was the case. I really would.
Wasn't last year.
Last year, things were really different. Last year, they had to start Uvalde in order for us to take our eye off the ball.
Yeah. Well, last year those guys were getting close to 20 grand a day, so go figure.
I would like to get 20 grand a day. So how do I affect dragons in my campaign? I think is the question.
Well, actually, it's Bruce's.
Oh.
You're last.
I was just trying to move this along.
I know. You're what? I got you. I got you, Bruce.
Sir,
What do you do to enhance the battle or to help with the flavor text or the perpetuate the story?
He gives his dragons ninja levels.
if I can, I will make my frost giant dragons part ranger and have them sneak attack out of tiny huts.
Yes.
Saturday.
I wish he was joking.
No, I like this idea. Where do I sign up?
Monk levels. There you go.
Give them a couple levels of monk or ninja, and your dragons are pretty cool. Actually, for me, I like to add templates to a dragon. They're not the easiest thing to add, but there's a really good book that I love to get a hold of. And this, I believe all these are free on the SRD. The SRD is going to stay in place. This is the Advanced Bestiary. Has 100 templates in it. Lots of them will apply very well to dragons. You just plug and play, and it will modify the character a little bit. You'll get flavor text differences. But use something like this, a couple of templates to where you give it a demonic template. You give it or a devilish template if you want it to be lawful. A lawful dragon, you don't really want to deal with. You'd rather deal with a chaotic one. A lawful dragon will try to enslave you and then try to rope you in and force you to tithe everything you own, and everything you could possibly have will eventually be his. So it was just like I was role playing earlier. But you want to give the dragon some ability to get involved with the character's life and become an absolute nuisance. Just one of those things that whenever it makes an appearance in your game world, your players bury their head in their hands, go, fuck, I want to kill kobolds. I want to kill goblins. I don't want to deal with this dragon. Give me something that I can handle. No. You get the big dragon dick.
Yeah.
And if you really want to go X-rated, you could go even on that tangent, but I don't recommend it. Aunt Susan won't like it if you do that on your YouTube channel. But I do recommend making the dragons literally the most roll their charisma and try to RP that out completely to the point where your players are chomping at the bit to roll initiative with this thing. Just get it alone in a cave for once, and the whole time your players are getting their rage built up. They're just getting knocked down and things are being just taken by the dragon. Go ahead and let them have that fight. Have it last about maybe 12 to 24 seconds out in the open where the dragon can do a flyby attack or two and then just go off. And then maybe he'll land in the player's town disguised, and he'll cast another spell to disguise himself as a hut or an outbuilding or something real close to the player's base of operations. And people just kind of they don't even pay attention to it because he looks like an outbuilding. He looks like a giant shed. Nobody cares. And so he'll be there for a few days studying the player's family's abilities and what the family can do against him, what they could do. What are they eating? I am hungry. You don't have any chickens anymore. I ate all 12 of them. It was like a light snack. But have them do something like that. And then put the player on blast. Let him know what's going on. Just give the players the reason to have an irrational hatred towards an NPC. It's just what I ask.
Okay. Last but not least, Connell.
I like to fuck with their perspective of what a dragon is, because most of us are from 3.5 and even I guess in the very beginning I'm not 100% sure, but red dragons are always evil, green dragons are always evil, gold dragons are always good, lawful good. But define lawful good. Is a person who follows the laws, most likely of their deity or of their land. Okay. What if your gold dragon is the leader of his land and he's just really tired of the people's shit? So that lawful good goes, kind of migrates down to lawful neutral to lawful evil. Now you have a lawful evil gold dragon that, because most people want to think, well, he's gold, he's got to be a good guy, right? And have him be the mastermind of the whole scenario. I like to kind of put the old tropes on their ear, where the chaotic good, where the red dragon is now the good guy. Don't know why, but he's like, that was gold bastard's gotta go. I want my freedom back. You want your freedom back. Let's go kill that dragon. And that's how I will sometimes treat. That's how I'll change it sometimes. Just changing around things that are basic common knowledge that everybody knows. It's been playing for a while, and just flipping around on them.
So, go ahead, Bruce.
Go ahead.
Oh, so the next question on the table here is with your dragons, what sizes do you typically use? Do you use the colossals? Do you use wormlings? Do you typically use the adults? We're going to start Shadow with this one. How old do you typically have your dragons be, in size wise and what?
To be honest, I almost never used anything under. In the old days, they had ancient and younger. The gargantuan wasn't a thing, but I know what that is. I own several of the models or miniatures. I start with gargantuan and work my way down to the second or third largest. I see no point in wasting my time and giving them free kills when it comes to dragons. I want them to work for it. If they go into a dragon lair, however, there is a good chance that there may be some babies or some younglings or whatever the freaking, the younger type dragons are. I don't like the idea that they would just kick their children out, as soon as they can fly. Even if they're evil, that just doesn't make any sense. It's better. It seems to me that it would be smarter to keep track of your kids and use them as, like I said, guard dogs and things like that versus, the off chance that, since they're evil, they might, worry that if they kick their children out, their children might turn on them for kicking them out. So I tend to have them, all kind of live together. That whole idea of them being solitary creatures just doesn't make sense when you've got it like what was it, Kai? Did you say they've got like a 20 intelligence? That just doesn't make any sense to try and do it alone when if you manipulate your own offspring into sticking around, that's not only evil but prudent and smart. So for the most part, I stick with the larger ones. Every once in a while, they'll, if they go into a lair, they might come across the youngsters, but for the most part, I don't bother with them.
All right, Kai, what about you?
I'll be honest. If I'm going to use a dragon, it's going to be an Ancalagon-sized dragon. It's going to be that. Like, if it's going to be out there, it's going to be Dreadwing or Ancalagon. It's going to be the skies are darkened if a dragon shows up. That's literally, and that dragon I mentioned was a Lord of the Rings first stage. Greatest of the Black Dragons, size of a mountain. Fear it. Moment of War of Wrath creature, or the size category is more like if you encounter a dragon who's being social and more like around, he's more T-Rex. City bus sized because you showed up in his lair and he's like, oh, I haven't gotten dressed yet. He hasn't put his human skin on yet, and he's again position of showing dominance of I'm not playing that, like I don't have to fuck around with you. I'm just talking to you at the moment because honestly I don't fear anything because dragons. So no, my sizes usually come in city bus or the sky is darkened, but it's passing. If you if you want to go watch the Cataclysm opening video to get an idea of what a big dragon looks like, that's what it comes down to. Anything smaller is honestly just flak bait, and I'm not interested in running flak bait encounters. I really don't want to play a flak bait encounter because honestly, killing things is not hard. It's Dungeons and Dragons. We kill things. That's the entire point of the game. Murder, destruction, violence. Violence isn't the only option, but boy, is it a good one.
Definitely a fun one.
Yeah, but after a while, killing just loses its luster. And if your only motivation is rawr, I'm a big bad scary thing, fight me because that's I'm eating peasants and cows and burning villages. Yay! Motivation is yay, black and white. There's nothing to this. Let's just go out there and roll me some dice until something dies. Yay! Wake me up on my turn, because honestly, that's about all it comes down to. No thanks.
Bruce, what about you? Bruce.
I'm sorry. Let me show you something.
This is on.
That's not on.
All right. So I was talking and I boomer, but I've got to say that the first couple times that players bump into Sir Scaly Face, I really don't want them to break out the math rocks and do things like, I'm rolling initiative. I'm planning a full round attack from my archer with bow and arrow. I get 6 of them. Have fun. I don't roll under a 60.
Ever.
I really don't want to do that. I want the first few interactions to just absolutely be just a teeth gnashing, absolute frustration filled set of like setbacks that there's no other way you could put it. Like the dragon's shutting you down. The dragon is making you work because first off, it sniffed out what you were wearing magic item wise. It already knows the spells needed to unravel what boots you have on there. Your boots of escape will do you no good. The dragon will get about 12,000 coins and some other weird magical ingredients right where you're standing at. It'll be surrounding your calves because the dragon will just unravel it right there. I could actually put that to better use if I had those spell components. And he would do something like that. I want to see the dragon not get beaten, bested, initiative the first turn. I don't want to see a game happen like that. I played enough of that when I was living in Washington, Illinois, or Deer Creek, Illinois, playing up in Washington, because my players were really adept with 3rd edition games. Go figure, right? But I want you guys to be able to have a campaign to where if you bump into a dragon, you can figure out what it is, where it's appeared before, why is it fucking with you now, and is there a way for you to drive it off or for you to possibly put it in the dead book? I think that's something that a lot of campaigns really don't focus on. Most of them are like, oh, there's XP out there. We got to go kill it. And that's the focus of the campaign. We just kill shit because that's what we do.
Connell.
What was the question?
What size of dragon do you typically use, or do you use like a mishmash, or?
It depends. Really depends on their level. If they're first level or through 5th level, I might use a small little bugger like this, which is a medium size, normally their size. As their level gets higher, I might go to a huge, and towards the end of the game, I'll probably hit gargantuan. The only dragon that goes Colossus is red, so you don't see that many of them. What?
Or gold.
I don't think gold goes to Colossus. Do they really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, shit. Good to know.
Because the golds are supposed to be bigger than red dragons. But the thing is that I forgot to answer Garrett. I'm holding in my hands a gargantuan dragon, roughly about ancient, that about there.
I've never. That just threw me off because I've never seen. I mean, I've seen colossal red dragons. I own one. I've just never seen a colossal gold dragon.
I released one.
Was that Colossus?
I believe they released a Colossus. It had a giant freaking wingspan on it. Maybe it was gargantuan, but I thought it was a colossal gold dragon.
All right. Well, that's what I'm basically getting at. Is what size dragon depends on the level of the party, and I try to keep it fairly close to what they are, so they have it's not a complete unfair fight. I mean, the dragon, even in not medium dragon, a huge dragon's got a lot going for it. And true sight, blind sight, tremor sense. So there's no sneaking up on the damn thing, even though there was a besiege class in 3.5 called Dragon Horde Breaker or something like that, where your job was to break into hordes, which I thought was just silly. But I basically keep the level of the dragon to the size of the party. I mean, to the level of the party. So best answer I got.
Jade. If he's there.
According to 3E edition, wormlings and great wormling gold dragons weigh in at Colossus. Well, I'll be damned.
Yep.
I just never ran into one as a player.
Hey, David. This is supposed to be gargantuan size, I believe.
That one is gargantuan. I got it somewhere. Yeah, I own that
I
one.
don't think it's a red dragon, but I think
It's a white dragon.
Yeah. I just got tired of it. I think I already have the white dragon.
He's back.
There you
Sorry, wife just got home from dog training club. So, got a dog that's in the scent work class. So, she's working with her.
Diffuse bombs over there.
Huh?
Can I have her diffuse bombs for you?
It's just something to do with her. She already does a lot of nose work on her own. So we figured she'd probably be good for this class. So.
Oh God,
Bad idea.
Haze.
Yeah, well, a dog using their nose for like 5 minutes is like 15 minutes of actual exercise. It's good mental exercise for them, good mental stimulus. Because a dog's nose can actually pick up, I think it's like 10,000 unique scents at once, and they can distinguish them, from one another. So it's good mental exercise for our dogs.
Yeah, I feel sorry for any a dog that lives with a few people I know. Woo.
And yeah, so we'll also be able to put like a scent down and have her go find the matching scent somewhere. So.
Moral of the story
so
is you'll never be safe.
You were asking about the size of dragons I use.
Yes.
Colossal plus. So keep in mind the dragons I use are, as Shadow put it, Godzilla-esque. They are intelligent, but what they want is typically beyond the understanding of mortals. You can actually liken this to the great old ones of Cthulhu mythos. The things they desire are beyond mortal comprehension a lot of times. Because I'm using them mostly in name only and in look and general like terror effect, but truly what they're after is their creator's power. They want to be the end all be all god of everything. They don't care about wealth. It's meaningless to them. Because once they have the powers of creation, they can create whatever they want. Well, wealth becomes meaningless. They don't want to rule over nations because, again, to them, like, nations of short-lived things are tedious and mind-numbingly simple. They don't care about humanity or elves, because even to these dragons, elves are a short-lived race. Even if an elf can live 2,000 years, these dragons can live millennias, multiple millennias. They can live probably millions, if not billions of years. So to them, an elf is just a blip on the radar at best. And these dragons were created by the creator deity as the primal caretakers of this universe that I've been working on with my buddy. And when the dragons went basically rogue against their creator and destroyed their creator, splitting it into multiple chunks or shards. Each one of them took a shard, and that shard is power. It's pure, godly, divine power. And that is what they desire. They desire the divine power that their brethren have taken. Some of them have been slain. I use quotes on that because, again, you have to basically trap the essence or soul of what makes the dragon what it is. And the bodies these things leave behind when they're dead are colossal, just heaps of decaying flesh. And because of the betrayal against the creator god, they also have a blight. They are blighted and cursed beings, and everywhere they go is nothing but blight, disaster, and just awfulness. When they first settle into an area, like, the blight begins to spread feet per minute, up until it reaches, I think, 1 mile. After that, I think it's like every 2 to 5 days, their corruption spreads 1 additional mile, up until like 45 to 50 miles out in all directions. That is just absolute corruption. And these things, because they are corruption themselves, they are greedy, they are vain, they are like all the typical sins you could think of. But mostly the thing they want is more power, more divine power. And they don't care what they have to do to get it. They'll even kill the mortal race's gods if it gives them enough power to have an edge over their brethren, which in most cases it doesn't.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is a kind of final thoughts on dragons and whatnot. So we're going to actually start with Bruce on this one. Bruce, any final thoughts on dragons or even tips on how to run them in your game?
Just the tip, though.
Going with the tip, I recommend that the dragons. I honestly remember when the game would kind of like when you're reading it in the bathroom, you're reading through the magenta books, and you get to the dragons and the monster side of it, and you're just like, there's no way my players could ever face one of those, because when it belches its breath weapon, it does its hit points and damage, and they get a save for half. But this book only goes up to 3rd level, so at best you might have 36, or maybe you'll have up to like 39 hit points. And the dragon's belching, even if he's like halfway wounded, he's still ripping out like 60, 70 hit points worth of fiery breath weapon every 4 rounds. And that's just enough time for him to wheel about in the sky or to maneuver about and get another angle of attack on you. You're dead. And I really am sad that whatever happened from those additions to current day, dragons have stopped being such a wonderful force of societal change and calamity, and now they're just a pile of hit points. It's just like a bugbear with wings, but he's got a breath weapon too. It's like people don't care. And I've watched some live streams here recently where people were playing various games, 5e included, and they've been working on, trying to beat this dragon, and there's just zero soul in it. Worse yet, they don't put any personality in running the dragon. They go through the motions. That's it. And if any of you bring a dragon to your players, if you're running a game, first off, you owe it to your players to be well rested and to run the game the way you want to be ran to. So you owe it to them to go over to the game
with your A game in hand. If you're going to be running a dragon, there's not a whole lot you can do to ever make up the fact that during the middle of combat, while you're waiting for the thief to tally their backstab damage, you dozed off. You fell asleep. Nothing will ever make that encounter ever anything but a comical encounter because the players had to nudge their DM to wake up. Don't do that. Go to the game fresh. Secondly, when you're running a dragon, I need you to think about the most evil archetypal villain that there is. Make him a banker. Make him somebody absolutely despicable. Make him know very much in the mathematics terms. Let him speak in percentages. Let him tell player characters the best thing they could do if they would just lay down their swords and allow him to give them his best treasures for their life. And just in about 20 years when you have a child reach adulthood, send him back to the cave so I can teach him my ways. And either they'll get a husk back as a child from the dragon, or their kid comes back completely bent out of shape as a dragon poured just a sliver of sorceress knowledge into the child's head, and the child almost has like tumors and brain aneurysms going on. He's not capable of functioning normally for probably a couple months, and then finally when he starts to come out of it, he just triggers sorcerer's spells here and there, and the family has to deal with it. Make the dragons do absolutely horrible, miserable, like Mendeleev level shit. Climbing up mountains, like the most evil character possible. Make him a banker. Middle America. I'm sorry, man. It just, make the dragon speak in terms to where when the players finally get their ability to act on their own recognizance and their own conscience, the first thing you want to do is bury this thing. They don't want it to influence anybody else or ruin anybody else's life or generations. All right, I'll let him go.
Kai?
Thanks, Bruce, for stealing all my dragon stuff there.
Oh, bullshit. Try closing down.
Man, it's like that was my entire gimmick right there. Wow. Okay. Oh no, it's okay. It's cool. See previous statement. Rewind about 3 or 4 minutes. Listen to that. Come back later. I come back, or I will probably end up writing an entire dissertation on the Discord server, and that'll cover everything. So yeah.
Shadow.
Well, right off the bat, the only good dragon is a dead dragon.
Yes.
Never forget that. Even the gold and silver, fucking kill them. Excuse my French.
See
Do
what you
whatever you
did.
can
You just sky away.
do whatever you can to make the dragon memorable and make it a story worth telling. But don't be afraid to prolong the agony a little bit. Otherwise, like so many situations we've heard about tonight, it can be just over too quickly. And like Bruce said, it's just another, bugbear with wings type of thing. But don't be afraid to let them have that victory and move on. I don't like reusing monsters over and over again. I like to move on. If you bump into a beholder in my game, you're probably never going to run into another one. There's too many things out there in the way of the monster manuals and things like that, or other books that I've mentioned before, especially Arduin, that has some of the greatest monsters ever invented. Just make it worthy of a song, and move on, unless your game is going to be centered around that until the bitter end. in which case, make it like any good villain, and if the chips are down, they teleport out. Simple as that. Dragons aren't stupid. They're not going to stick around and die like a vampire. Same thing. Turn to gaseous form. I'll see you again, later when you least expect it kind of thing.
Hey kids, want to see a dead body?
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Yep.
That'll work.
Hey kids,
That'll
want to
work.
see a dead body get by running?
All right, Jade.
Oh man. So your question is how to make it memorable? Is that the question?
Well, no, it's just final thoughts on dragons and any
Final thoughts on dragons.
Any
So-
tips or anything else you have.
My final thoughts on dragons in general, if you want to include them in a tabletop role-playing game, do your homework. Go research dragons in not just the system of game that you are playing in. Go research dragons from other systems, because sometimes you might find something that's just better. Yes, a lot of people make the same reference. They're just a pile of hit points with wings and fiery breath. Make them more than that. That's not all the tricks dragons have. They are ungodly and terrifyingly intelligent most of the time. They are going to come at any situation with tactics. They're not going to allow you to catch them off guard. They are not going to allow you to, or rather, I should say, they shouldn't allow people to catch them off guard. If they know they've got some kind of weakness, they're going to seek to cover it. In Bastion of Broken Souls module for 3.0, the Dragon of Chardalon knows that he has a detriment. He has to stay in the pool of unborn souls to continue to live. So he's immobile, but that doesn't mean he's not prepared for a party to come in on his and rain on his parade. He has spells of counterspell. He's actually got a ring of counterspell to protect him from certain types of attack. Use the same tools that the players have access to, against them. If the dragon has been, the dragon's likely going to be, because they're smart enough to do this, they're going to keep tabs on all the high level adventurers in their area. If they're not, they're kind of, setting themselves up for failure, and a dragon shouldn't do that. So if they have, and they'll have spies. So if they have the spies out there, they're keeping tabs on all of the different adventurers, that might give them trouble in the near future. So they'll know the tactics. They'll know the spells that they like to open up with. So a dragon should be able to prepare for whatever's coming at them ahead of time, and then just tear the party apart by shutting down everything they would do. Give them unique abilities, unique feats that, the party's not expecting them to say, oh yeah, this dragon's going to have multi-attack. No, I'm not going to have multi-attack. I'm going to have blade block. What's blade block do? Blade block allows me to catch your blade and snap it. Oh, that's a problem. Yeah, it is going to be a problem. Have fun with that. Kind of like a sunder ability or something, take the weapons away from the PCs that would do the most damage or harm to the dragon. These are things that an intelligent dragon is going to think about. They're going to prepare the battlefield to their advantage. So, definitely plan your dragon encounters with a lot of tactics in mind.
All right, Connell, finish us out.
Fuck, what can I, say after, Bruce and now Jade, and I slightly disagree with Shadow on his statement, but it is what it is. I don't think it is.
When do you not?
Most of the time. Anyways, what I was going to say is dragons has been part of the human culture mythology since the time of Babylon. I mean, because of Babylon, Babylon, we have such dragons as Tiamat, because Tiamat was a chaotic goddess from that era. So dragons have been part of our culture, the world's culture, since the very beginning. So keep that in mind when you're running dragons. Not all dragons need to be done in combat. Sometimes you have creative players. I could think a quick example is tricking a dumb young red dragon into leaving its horde because you're giving it a wand that will lead it to a greater horde. Granted, said player rolled a nat 20 and a DM rolled a nat 1, but sometimes you can outthink them. It doesn't have to be hands down fist fight with a dragon. Sometimes you can outthink them. Sometimes you can make a deal with them. Not all dragons are evil.
Never made a deal with a dragon.
Some dragons just don't give a shit. Some good dragons are evil, just not in the way you think. Now, keeping that in mind, in movies, comic books, there's all these different sources of concepts for dragons out there. Anywhere from Pete's dragon to the Lord of the Rings nonsense, which I still say that's not a dragon, that was a wyvern, but that's my argument. And we're not going to talk about the dragons from Game of Thrones because those weren't dragons either. But there's enough literature, enough stuff out there to pick what you want from and run a dragon campaign from that. Maybe the party's working for a dragon. Maybe they're selling their wares to a chaotic neutral dragon just because he wants to bump up his own horde. There's multiple ways to bring a dragon into your campaign that does not need to be a fist fight. Now, with that being said, after we get done with this, I'm going to drink a beer and go start a fist fight because, damn it, I have a reputation to withhold.
You have a reputation to withhold.
Yeah, you heard me.
Uphold. That's the word. He's withholding his reputation now. Write that down.
That's what keeps me out of prison.
So everyone, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Our little talk about dragons and whatnot, and we're going to go ahead and close it up now. Do see what everybody's up to. Bruce, what do you got coming up this week?
I've scrapped the scripts that I was going to do for some reviews. I just got pissed. That's all it really is. I was writing and doing stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just go do a live stream and show off review stuff there. So look for that to happen here instead of me doing a prepared item or bullet pointed through the motions, because I really do appreciate the live stream interactions better. That's just me. After 20-30 minutes, you get tired of talking to yourself. You want to interact with the chat or maybe pull in somebody. But I'll be doing that for more of the Dungeons and Delvers that I've got, because I do love that game. And then I've got some other things I want to review, like the new Gods book I just picked up from Frog God Games. I'm also going to delve into an ancient Paizo piece called the Emerald Spire, because I got tickled not long ago. Bruce, you only review things you like, so let me review this pile of shit because it's the worst fucking thing Paizo made. And then oh boy, here goes the chorus. Wait, Bruce, what about this product? What about darkness?
Yeah. That.
What about it?
I'm sorry. Have you not heard of the Mythic system? System they added for Pathfinder? That is a big honking piece of shit too.
That is.
Jade is giving you the eye because he loves.
Hey, I tell me I'm wrong. Is it not a big honking piece of shit?
You're not wrong.
Not wrong.
You're
not wrong. It's
conceptually
system.
I conceptually like the Mythic concept. I conceptually like it.
Yeah, in concept, it sounds good. You read the back of the book. The back of the book sounds awesome. This is going to add some new epic stuff to my campaign. I got Mythic
Zing right back into it.
and you start to run it, and you have your players do their first challenge, and then you give them their first mythic tier, and they're like breeding children with like the milkmaids and the bar wenches and the girls that scrub rags on the floor of the bar. They're not doing cool stuff, and they don't do cool stuff for like the first few tiers because they're busy like going off like a teenager who discovered their first rifle or something in the middle of Kosovo, just blowing away everything. And then finally, like, oh, I guess I better use this responsibly. What was the adventure about anyway? And they Mythic just pisses me off on a level that can't be rationally placed out there.
Let's put it this way. The Mythic system made me quit the hobby for over a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, the Mythic system sounds cool until the DM walks right from the table with anal bleeding.
Charlotte has a really good idea, which I will do that once I get done with Doom 2016. I'm playing through Doom 2016 right now, and I'm having a blast. She says, forget Mythic, just play Daggerfall. Which Daggerfall Unity is amazing. Thank you. Even if you don't have Unity, it's still a good game.
I'm still trying to find somebody that runs the the winter one where you're dealing with Baba Yaga.
Why? So you can like insert Krampus and get stuffed in a bag, or what?
That was no.
No, so you can go kill Russians.
So I can go kill Russians.
Yep, that's the whole reason he wants it, and I refuse.
What? What's wrong with? Never mind.
I don't want to kill Russians. Most of them are really nice people.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the Rasputin, the time of Rasputin. That's why he wants it to be run. And dude, no.
Actually, that's not entirely true. Somebody started running it when I was living down in Tennessee. Then the game fell apart, and I hate having a module that I haven't finished. It drives me up the damn wall.
I conceptually enjoyed reading through the Winds of Winter, but whatever that module series is, the adventure series is, but it really fell apart in book 5 and 6.
Is that where you're in Russia?
Yeah, I mean,
if you took out the Russian part of it, it actually would probably work better.
It can work. It really just needs to be like you gotta. Okay, I'm going to liken it to Deep Magic. Deep Magic for Pathfinder is a great tome of spells and feats and things to drop in your campaign to give your players wider options, to give them options that the basic core book and Ultimate Magic do not give. In fact, it's actually more of an Ultimate Magic than Ultimate Magic. However, Deep Magic has some real issues with balance, and they don't understand how spell levels work. And they don't know how to write spells either. So each individual thing that you decide to drop into your campaign, if you're one of these smart DMs that says, I'm only going to put one thing in here per 2 weeks. I'm only going to put one spell in this game every 2 weeks that's not from the core rulebook. You have to massage that spell. You have to work it. You have to retool it, redo it. You have to reword it because you're going to read it and be like, oh, this is cool. But if you let it loose before you've actually tested it yourself in the privacy of your own home, of your own sanctum, whatever it may be, you end up really screwing over your campaign because like you've allowed this monkey out of a box that doesn't want back in the box. And you have to just take everything bite-sized chunks at best. You might add a feat here or a feat here. Don't add 2 feats at a time. You don't do that. And Deep Magic is a great book if you can learn how to do that. If you learn what spells are more ready for prime time, others are going to require you to sit down and retool them for about an hour. But that's just my own personal opinion. That's my official review of Deep Magic. I love the book. I love the book because it goes into ley lines and makes ley lines worth shit. But I'm getting off topic here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, Garrett, for letting us discuss big bad Mama Jama dragons.
Kai, you have anything coming up this week?
Depending on how I feel like I want, like writing on my channel on Bruce's in Discord, not really. I mean,
Okay.
Expect a random paper on some topic, or if people ask questions, I will do my best to answer it honestly.
Okay. And if and to follow that up, if you're not on Bruce's Discord, so you can see Kai's musings on there. Definitely make sure that you do join that and take a look at that. I was reading through some of them today, and you know, it got the brain going a little bit. Let's just put it that way.
If you read it and you get something out of it, just say you got something out of it, so that way I can go yay or whatever.
I wish after reading his musings, it came with college credits, because that's the quality of writing and understanding that you're going to get from it. Or about the hobby that we're in.
Nah. Either you like it or you're gonna get all angry because I get and butt hurt because I don't do it like I don't sit there and worship the old ways, even though I kind of like them, but they don't work. They don't always work at all times. But yeah, I mean, look,
Oh dear God!
I'm a radical. I don't care.
Apparently, there's some really bad news that just came across the wire. Stephen Colbert is going to be doing the Amber Chronicles somehow.
What? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to light some theaters on fire, boys.
God damn it! No.
I used to say if they mess up one more comic book movie I like, I was going to do Passion of the Christ, but with midgets.
For television.
Oh,
He's an executive producer.
Okay.
It can't be all that bad.
I'm gonna go cry now in my sleep.
Dude, go wash your mouth out with holy water. That's the foulest thing you've ever said.
He's
Stephen Colbert
actually
is
a
pot to society.
I will say
he's
this,
actually a fan of both Zelazny and Tolkien. Like he knows
But
the books
he's
forward and
the
back.
scum of the earth.
That's your opinion.
I'm hoping he'll do it really, really
And he'll
well.
have a provable fact.
But then
I would trust him to do anything Lord of the Rings related before I would trust Peter Jackson or Amazon.
That's true. Amazon burnt their bridges there.
Amazon. I don't know how Amazon made money. They
Zelazny
would
was a
actually-
personal friend of mine. Zelazny was a personal friend of mine, and trust me, he's rolling around in his freaking grave.
You know what? Somebody.
I would trust Colbert to keep it book accurate.
Yeah, same here.
I actually, the more
I
I
will-
think about it,
Withhold judgment until Guns of Avalon.
And there you go. As Charlotte said, executive producers tend to have little control over the final product, but I still
Look. Nine Princes isn't too hard to fuck up. Guns of Avalon will be where we see if it actually sucks or not. So,
I mean, Nicolas Cage was the executive producer for the Dresden Files TV series,
and that was trash.
And I still haven't forgiven Elvis.
I actually enjoyed those for what they were, because this is the same time frame where Vampire the Masquerade was on Fox television.
Yep.
And they did a better job with Dresden than they did with Vampire. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's just remember that. I know we're setting a very low bar, but I actually don't think Stephen Colbert is going to have a lot of room to fuck this up. I think he's going to probably try to do his best to keep it as accurate as he can of the book. He probably will have some woke shit in there, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as miserably bad as Amazon's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power,
where Gladriel sheds her persona from the books in Silmarillion, and she becomes Wonder Woman, and proceeds to show us why having a penis is bad for the next 8 episodes. I don't think we're going to get that level.
The only thing that was worth talking about on that damn show is how they did the halflings. I mean, the hobbits.
They're not hobbits. No, they're not hobbits. They're halflets. They're different.
They're the same
It's an
species.
entirely different race.
Not entirely different. They're closer than halflings and harfoots are closer than gnomes and halflings.
Fair.
But
They're not the same.
I know Shadow's pissed at me for saying that. I don't think Stephen Colbert is really going to fuck this up that bad. I want to know who is the actual heads on this.
That's where I'd be more concerned.
I
Skybound Entertainment.
Who?
Skybound Entertainment.
What have they done? Because I'm not going to lie, I watched an Amazon recreation of one of my favorite books of all time by Gaiman and Pratchett.
Oh, Good Omens?
Yeah, and it really wasn't a bad show.
I love Good Omens. And fucking Jack Reacher?
The new Jack Reacher's great. Tom
Yes.
Cruise, Jack Reacher, bad.
Well, Tom Cruise is also not 7 foot tall and looks like a moose.
I agree with that, Charlotte. The Rings of Power.
Walking Dead.
What?
Walking Dead.
Oh God!
I didn't mind Walking Dead.
But no, that was terrible. That whole
The last few seasons really boned up bad, but they screwed up from the first couple seasons too.
Once they reached the farmhouse, the show was off the rails and just trash.
I will agree with that.
An entire season at a farmhouse that should have been a grand total of probably 2-3 episodes.
They kind of ran out of money and they kind of was forced to have to film at the film house for a season.
And then they killed people who shouldn't have died, and then did things wrong. And at that point, it's betrayal. And I do not tolerate betrayal.
Anyway.
Like, I liked it till the Tiger King.
Speaking of Tiger King, anyways,
All right. Anyways, getting back to what we were saying, Shadow, what do you got coming up this week?
A whole bunch of craft videos, a whole bunch of modeling videos, painting videos, hanging out with you guys over the weekend. And like I said before, getting back into our regular swing of things. We took a little bit of a extended holiday break, which was definitely needed. And with help from some other, YouTubers out there, DM Fritz, DM James, and our good friend James L. They really lit a fire under our butts to get us to go out there and slay the gray and get some models put together, some things assembled, some things painted. Going to focus a lot more on the 3D tabletop aspect until I get a couple of books that I've been waiting for in the mail so I can start reviewing those. And just looking forward to just about everything in 2023 except for the bad news I just got. Yeah.
Shadow, I want you to clear your head for a moment, and I want you to stand up because I just put the link in the chat. If you want to have a shirt, a high-quality shirt from, I believe it's TeePublic.
Teespring. TeePublic?
My bad. Yeah.
You could be right. I don't remember. I deleted it after I was done.
It's TeePublic that does this, but this is a fantastic shirt. I've got one like it. Others I know have one like it. These are Buddy Hungar. And you can see him. He's been Frazetta-ized and immortalized. And there's very few times where you bump into people, real life or on the web, virtually, where they just kind of impact you and they just kind of give you a verification as to why you enjoy your hobby so fucking much. And
yeah, and let's all not forget to keep him in our prayers. He's back in the hospital again, and he's
No,
probably
he
going to be
said
there
he
for a
was-
while.
Did he go back in today? Because he was home last night.
Was he? Are you
That's
sure?
what he put in chat.
They put that in chat on table gatekeepers.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. Then I guess I'll be seeing him tomorrow morning when we do our show together. That's good to know.
And Spidey's just like me. He got me one, and the Afro one too. The Afro one's badass.
My son's got the Afro one.
If you aren't subscribed to him on YouTube, give the man a subscribe and a like. He's got some funny
Absolutely.
stuff. He hangs out with his brother DM James a lot. Hangs out with Shadow and other members of our esteemed affiliates that we have. Say a prayer for the guy. Just, his health, not exactly the most stable thing. A lot of people are in that category right now. Our world is crumbling apart for reasons we've already talked about in tonight's stream. Died suddenly, ring a bell. But I want you guys just, Ungar's a good guy. He's one of us. He could be any one of you guys is like brother in arms or family members, and like anybody that's not doing their absolute best, give him a little bit of positivity, please.
God, if he was actually, my brother, uncle, I'm actually go to family get-togethers. Fuck.
But that's my only desire. That was all I had to pimp out. Aside from, if you want to see more of my anger and the frustration on display, I'll be running a game on Saturday, and it'll be about 12:30 to roughly about 9 p.m. Go ahead, Garrett. Take us on out, sir.
Well, no, we got a couple more to go. So,
Go ahead.
Jade, what do you got coming up this week?
Not a hell of a lot. I'm going to be building a box throne unit. Probably actually it's the box king unit in my basement to hold my 100 plus board games. It's going to go. It's actually going to modify my box duke. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Cloud Puncher had produced a piece of furniture to hold board games in their correct position, which is
To have a freaking
Flat.
flex, I have 100 plus
it's
games.
flat, not on its side like bookshelves, because bookshelves are made for books. Box throne is made for board game boxes. So I'm going to be building that over the weekend. Also on Sunday, Gatekeepers will have the Masters chat. This is to set the schedule for the next month of content on Gatekeepers. So if you are a master of the Discord for Gatekeepers, you are welcome to join that chat at 7:30 p.m. Central on Sunday. Again, that's where I'm going to be trying to get an idea of what kind of content we want going forward for the next month of Gatekeepers. So that's what I've got going this weekend.
All right. Last but not least, Connell, what you got going?
Well, normally I'd most likely be hanging out with Max over at Friday Night Chill, but I will be playing Pathfinder 2 and learning the ways of more crunch.
Crunch.
Math ain't bad for you. It's good for you.
I'm gonna, it kind of reminds me of was that Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money? It's now Pathfinder 2, The Search for More Math.
It's less
I'm
bad,
gonna be
actually.
what?
I was actually told today Pathfinder 2 is not Mathfinder. It is Feet Finder.
It is Feet Finder.
Oh, well, these are things I will learn. I will most likely be making some videos over the next week of me bashing my head up against the table as I'm trying to learn a new gaming system called Fate, because, well, Fate has a Dresden Files RPG, and I got some people I want to torture. I mean, bring the love of Dresden to.
Why
In
didn't you
RPG
run us
style.
through the Dresden Files?
What?
We would have loved the Dresden Files. You gave us 5e. You gave us a smelly bag carried by Krampus.
Well,
Come on.
It was a Christmas present to everybody else. It was a Christmas present to everybody else.
50-50,
You
so
ended it up in the bag.
We are never going to let you forget. We're never going to forgive you for this. You know
I
that.
wonder
if his
biggest
biggest bitch is about the bag and not the children pies, I'm fine with that. Welcome to Chuck E. Cheese. But
I knew the pies were bad. I've heard this tale before.
Yeah, well, it's a classic Christmas story. Just not the diabetes kind. I mean, American kind.
Diabetes? What?
Wait, there's Christmas stories that don't take place at Whataburger?
Yeah.
How dare they?
Santa Claus is not the mascot Coca-Cola.
Lies.
Friday, Saturday. I will be joined by Shadow and some other people as we are hold hostage for 9 hours, rolling dice and having a great time on Bruce's campaign. Because he will browbeat us, because you can't hair beat us. All he has is his brows anymore. And that mustache. Until somebody asks him to shave it off yet again. That's what I'll be doing Saturday. And Sunday, we will be starting a new month. And we're going to be reviewing, because February is the time of not St. Patrick's Day. That's March.
wow.
St. Valentine's Day. I'm sorry. I got to get away mixed up. Valentine's Day, the saint of alcohol awareness, and St. Patrick's the day of alcoholics. My bad.
Climbing that mountain says that's a master class on the dungeon mastering game, Connell. Don't let the haters get to you. You do manage to influence people positively, dude. He did appreciate the game you ran.
Oh, thank you. We'll be starting off a romantic sci-fi, romantic fantasy movies, such as Lady Hawk has been thrown around a handful of times. John whatever, I think Shadow's going to do. I'm going to do a Michael Crichton movie that was from a book of his called Timeline.
Jurassic Park?
Later, Fizz.
No, not Jurassic Park. I mean, granted, Jurassic World is a love story between a raptor and a hybrid dinosaur thingy. Anyways, but we will be talking about Timeline. Timeline is a really good movie. It has one of my favorite comedians, Billy Connolly, in it, who, if you don't know who Billy Connolly is, he was a comedian there in the 70s. He's also in such movies as Boondock Saints 1 and 2 and a couple other TV shows. And he has a great...
Treasure Island.
There you go. And he has a great excuse of what to say if you get caught masturbating. Just type that in. You won't regret it. It is hilarious. Now, and a few other actors. One from the Fast and the Furious that wasn't all that fast or furious when he hit the pole.
Talking about Paul Walker.
Well, he's not walking anymore.
Pole rapper, I know.
Wow. It's Connell's bedtime. I'm feeling grumpy right now. But that's what I got going on.
Do you need coffee? Bruce can sell you some great coffee.
Connell is missing something tonight. It's kind of in the title of said name.
Well, there's a new cigar place that opened up in the Heights.
Yeah, I know.
Is it good?
I haven't been there yet.
Okay.
I've been wanting to check it out. I'll let you know if you're actually curious.
I'm actually curious. I drive by it every day, so.
Ooh, beer.
All right. So, Jay, why don't you go ahead and take us out tonight?
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, beat a low-level adventure or a grand epic. As long as good times are to be had, you'll find my tavern to be open. Have a good night, everyone.
Night, everybody.
God bless.
Go have a beer if you're over 21. Have two.
No TPKs. That's mine.
Everyone here is over 21.
All right. Fuck it. Go smoke a cigar.
Good.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
This is like